Great to see you, sir.
The sign says go that way.
I met Peter at the Aspen Ideas Climate Gathering in Miami Beach, Florida. The event brings together scientists, corporate leaders, and innovators who are searching to find solutions to our climate crisis.
Let me start with a headline, and I'm going to throw it at you because I think it's really important. The headline reads, Cronkite School and Global Futures Laboratory team up to improve sustainability storytelling. Right there, sustainability storytelling. They don't seem like they merge together. You hear the word sustainability and people are like immediately turned off. And I don't know why that is, but speak to that.
I mean, if people are turned off by sustainability, then that means the storytelling hasn't been so good yet. And I'm part of that problem then, because I've been trying to tell sustainable or regenerative stories for 15 years now, right? And the idea that sustainability is a sacrifice is probably, I bring it back to carob in the 70s, that thing that we were supposed to eat instead of chocolate, tasted horrible. I think a lot of people like sort of put together, if it's supposed to be good for the planet, then it's bad and it doesn't taste good. And I think that legacy of things like carob actually continues on, when actually, if you look at an electric car, it's faster, much cheaper to operate. So the stories just need to be told better, right? And so I focus on agriculture and the farmers who are looking at their soil as the source of everything good, the farmers who are trying to regenerate their soils, they're getting themselves out of debt and their lives are much, much better. And they're much more productive, and they're actually much more free to do a lot of other things that they weren't free to do otherwise when they were sort of locked into a chemical production system. So I look at regenerative as the word now. Sustainable is, what do you want to sustain? We kind of have a messed up planet right now. Do you want to sustain that? The idea is to regenerate. And so that's the word I'm using now, even though my class is called Sustainability Storytelling. That's the class I teach at ASU.
Peter is a professor at Arizona State University in both the School of Sustainability and the Cronkite School of Journalism. His first documentary, Garbage, won the Best Documentary Award at the South by Southwest Film Festival. His second documentary, Carbon Nation, has screened all over the world and won the Clarion Award.
Tell us about that. What are the messages you give these students to get? Because it's an important story. How do you get them out there to tell the kind of stories where you capture an audience?
Yep. The first thing the class itself is I teach students how to do what I do. So there's not a lot of prep for me because I just teach them what I know. And I teach them how to make a short documentary about something sustainable, regenerative. And the message I give to them is, if you want a lot of people to see your film, try to focus on the solution. Because that's what my experience has been. When I'm focused on solutions, a lot more people watch the film and we actually make people feel better and actually give people action steps. So that's what I tell the students straight away. I don't make them focus on solutions, but I strongly recommend it. And most of them do. And, you know, filmmaking is hard, which I'm sure you know. So I don't sugarcoat it. So I actually try to weed out anybody who doesn't think that it's going to be a hard class when it starts. So I say it at the very beginning. And then the class just proves itself. It's a 15-week class. And I tell the students on week 1, I'm like, you're not going to like me week 12 and 13, because I'm going to be the face of this incredibly stressful, hard thing. But stick with it. I'll get you through. I'll make sure you make a good film. Some of them are really, really good. I've given 2 A+.
Wow.
In that 18 semesters. And they were amazing films. Great production, like really good access they got, like stuff I don't know if I could have gotten access to, things like that. And so teaching the students is wonderful. It's illuminating. It's stressful because I want them to do well. And if they're stressed out, I feel it. And but it's just I can't take it away from them because I'm stressed out making my films. It's hard.
Right.
I don't know how to make it easy.
Well, it's part of the whole process.
Exactly.
The stressed out.
But the biggest lesson I want them to take is, like, even if they don't make a film ever again, if they can just focus on their film with all the other classes they take and all the jobs they have, and some have kids, just do your best at every moment you're focused on this thing, so that when that when you're in a stressful situation, whatever your job is down the line, that you can do your best at something at any given moment. And if they can do that, then it's a complete success.
School of Sustainability.
Mm-hmm.
I don't hear a lot of schools of sustainability. I mean, should they be everywhere? I mean, what's your take on that? And what about ASU and its kind of forward thinking that they would even be thinking about this sort of thing?
Well, they say it was the first school of sustainability, the one at ASU, properly named thusly, right? I know Yale's School of Forestry has been around a long time, and it's sort of evolved into that kind of thing. And of course, John Doerr just gave Stanford $1.1 billion to start a new school of sustainability. So that eclipses any donation we've gotten at ASU, that's for sure. So we'll see what that does. We'll see how they go with that. I hope it's incredibly successful. At ASU, from what I understand, we're trying to put sustainability across in every school. So the law school has a sustainability program. The art school has sustainability instruction. The idea that it should be sort of across the whole university is what I've been told is the goal. But the school itself, there's some amazing instructors, my colleagues in that school and the School of Journalism. It's kind of hard to believe sometimes I'm one of them. Especially in journalism, we've had so many Pulitzer Prize-winning faculty members. It's kind of wild to just be in a faculty meeting and listen to those folks, or just look at them eating lunch,
North Dakota, Mississippi, Saskatchewan, home to hundreds of thousands of cows.
Peter is currently producing Carbon Nation 2.0, an ongoing series of short films created in collaboration with ASU.
The amount of carbon in our soils is dangerously low.
He is also working with scientists and ranchers on soil health and soil carbon storage research via regenerative grazing.
So everybody seems to have aha moments when it comes to this issue. What was yours?
Mine was I was at the world premiere of An Inconvenient Truth. And somehow I didn't know about climate change until that moment in January of 2006. I'm the kind of guy that turns off the light switch when I leave a room. I turn off the water when I'm brushing my teeth, but I didn't know. And so I was a journalist at Sundance for about a decade for the Louisville Courier-Journal. And so I raised my hand to ask Gore a question. And I actually was the first journalist to ask Gore a question for An Inconvenient Truth, period.
Wow.
And I asked him, I said, hey, I'm this guy who reads the paper every day. I should know about climate change. I don't. You were vice president for 8 years. Were you hamstrung from talking about it? Like, why didn't I hear you talk about this?
Oh, that's a good question.
And he said he wasn't hamstrung, but from the history that he just gave slideshows. He certainly never gave a press conference on it, I don't think. So seeing that film, something shifted in me, and I realized we got to make a film about the solutions. Because he made a great film about the problem. It was kind of like a horror film, right? The way it was marketed was absolutely a horror film with the big hurricane coming out of the smokestack, And so I spent the next year just trying to sort through what does that look like. And then a year later is when we decided to make Carbon Nation. That's when we started.
Wow. So a turning point in your life.
Yeah, absolutely. And I got to thank him for it. Because he's now looking at regenerative ag. And so I was one of the people that he called to just sort of learn and ask questions and poke holes. And I got to thank him for changing my life.
Let me ask, because you were just sitting in listening to a session that I was also in, and it was interesting because one of the speakers said, this is the decade of action.
Yeah.
And I thought about that because I knew I was going to be talking to you. And about a decade ago, you came out with Carbon Nation, 2011.
Yep.
What were you thinking then? What are you thinking today?
When we made Carbon Nation, and it came out in 2011, we hoped that the need for that film would be long gone by 2022. The fact that when we listened to the plenaries yesterday, John Doerr's 6 points or whatever, every one of those is in Carbon Nation. So it's frustrating. The most successful filmmakers probably feel good about how many people watch their movies, but most of us always want a lot more people to watch our movies. When I saw Carbon Nation screen for high schoolers, and they, for the first time in their lives, had seen a film that didn't make them scared about climate change, but made them think about jobs, like good jobs, I had a lot of hope that we could influence a generation, but we didn't get out enough. Not enough of that generation saw it, right? I don't think Greta saw my movie, right? And I wish she had. I wish she had. When we were making it, we were hoping that we would influence legislation. We were hoping that we would have an influence on all sorts of places. That said, because I focused on solutions in that film, it changed my life. It got me to ASU, to where I'm doing the work that I'm doing right now, which is absolutely influencing big companies. And so it's a longer play. I don't know if you saw, what was it, Tick, Tick, Boom? Is that the right name of the film? Tick, Tick, Boom? So that movie's about the play, the musical that the writer made before he made Rent. And I'm kind of thinking, well, maybe Carbon Nation was that play for me. Like, it got me going, but it wasn't the big hit that I wanted it to be. So the new film, because I'm an optimist, hopefully a lot of people will see it, and we can have great influence, because I celebrate people in my filmmaking. There's a huge need for people to dig in and find stories and find problems and uncover malfeasance. I've chosen to, in my film, celebrate the people who are doing the things that I wish a million more people would do. And so that's how I deal with it, because I'm dealing with climate change. And if I don't focus on solutions, I'll go nuts.
Right.
And so then I focused my attention to soils about the time when I got to ASU in 2013. And I started focusing on grazing, because that was looking like the biggest bang for the buck, the quickest way to rebuild soils. And so then I met these amazing farmers, cattle farmers, and I started making movies about these farmers. And then I started leading a research team about, are they actually getting the data? Can we get the data to see if they're bringing down as much carbon as they say they are? Are they improving their ecosystem as much as they say they are? And those farmers now are the heroes for me that lift me up. And so this new project is about celebrating the farmers and the scientists on our team. It's like, these are some amazing people, and I want the world to know it.
Are you going to call it Farmer's Rent, or are you going to try and get rent in there since this is going to be your rent?
No, and it's not a musical either. It's got a long name, but it came from one of the farmers. The title of the new film is Roots So Deep You Can See the Devil Down There.
Oh, that's good. I like that.
Yeah,
cool. Very, very nice. So the answer yes? Because you say you're looking at all the data. The answer is yes.
Yeah, the soils offer us, I think, and the data would support, and there's new science coming in, almost an unlimited vessel for bringing down carbon. It takes time, but it can happen quickly, but it'll take time to get as many farmers on board as possible. And, farmers aren't the type of people that want to be told what to do. I don't want to be told what to do. My wife's the nicest person on the planet, as long as I don't tell her what to do. But with the farmers that we've met, I just say, hey, you've done everything right. There's nothing wrong with what you've done. But we're finding a way that might even be better. And are you in debt right now? And they can quietly think about the answer to that question, and most likely the answer is yes. This might help you get out of debt. Are your soils compacted right now? I know the answer to that is yes. Would you like to carry more animals on your land so maybe you can quit your day job? I know that answer is yes. And so the farmers that we've discovered and the science that our science team has done is showing that, yeah, you can draw down enormous amounts of carbon while getting yourself out of debt, getting the water cycle much more improved.
Peter, it is not Rent, it's Roots So Deep You Can See the Devil Down There. We're looking forward to seeing it. Really enjoyed the conversation. Thanks so much.
Thank you.